Hello, everybody. Good morning. Johnny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. It would appear I have nobody watching yet. But that's okay. Hopefully, people will filter in very shortly. I am 2 minutes late. I know my good buddy Mike Neighbor put out the good word for me, which is cool of him to do that. So hopefully, people will start to drift in. I'm forever hopeful. Hopefully people will start to come in now. Stephen Greenwood is the first to post in the live chat. Hey, good to see you, mate. How are we doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody is having a fantastic weekend. And already we're like halfway through January. It's ridiculous how fast it is. So it's not going to be long before I'm putting the Christmas decorations back up again for Christmas 2018. But yes, January is absolutely flying by, which is quite ridiculous. But there it is, folks. Martin Weeks is now here, and Kingston Dread, my good mate, over in the West Indies. I believe you are, aren't you, Kingston? I believe that's where you are, which is very cool. Who else do we have here? We have Martin, Stephen, and Kingston. We've only got 3 in the chat so far, but we've got 8 people watching. So we'll get started in a few minutes once a few more people have arrived. Miles McGonigal is here. Good to see you, Miles. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I'm having... I've had better weekends. Let's put it like that. I'm not going to bore you with the details. You're in Ohio now. Okay, Kingston. That's cool. Ohio's nice. So's the Caribbean, no? Oh, yes. I have a new tea mug, which I got for Christmas, courtesy of my wife, which I think you may have seen in a couple of streams, but here it is. It's very, very cool, especially for doing studio work, because this keeps tea hot for 16 hours. So I can have a cup of tea in here and I can be working on a mix or on production for a client, and I can have this running for 16 hours, and it's great. So it actually helps me drink less tea because I don't need to fill this up quite so many times. And my good friend Kay Lavi Biz Productions, I can never say that right, but anyway, and he's here. That's very cool. So we got 11 people. Yes, that is hot. But yeah, so as I say, I've had better weekends. We've had some very, very bad news recently, which I'm not going to go into the details of because it's family related. But it's kind of it's dealt as a pretty hefty blow. So things are pretty sad around here at the moment. But we'll come through it. We'll come out of it, and hopefully everything will be okay. But yeah, it's just been not necessarily the happiest or most joy-filled weekend. So there it is. So I'm going to leave that behind because really I'm coming on the live stream to take your questions about all things music production and songwriting and mixing and mastering and all of that kind of stuff, and music business, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not here to talk about my family really in particular. Kingston says, I go back and forth from Portmore, Jamaica, West Indies, and Columbus, Ohio. Very nice. Portmore, that's very nice. Jamaica's absolutely gorgeous. And you'll be asking, have I ever been? No, I haven't. But I have friends who are from Jamaica, and I have friends who are from Trinidad as well. Close family friends. And they tell me just how gorgeous it is there. And every time I watch England play against West Indies, away over in the West Indies, well, you get to see how glorious those cricket grounds are. And I would love to go. John Anderson is here. He says, sorry I'm late. Up on the roof, cleaning gutters. Oh, yeah. You guys have not had some great weather, have you? So I'm not surprised you're having to do that. But good to have you, John. So we've got 10 people in here now. We did have 11, I think. But it has dropped off, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. But that's okay. My live streams at the moment don't tend to get that many people, but that's okay. That will change. This will grow the more I do it, and the more people get the word out. Miles says, spent the day getting the Fat Channel on the Series 3 mix at a print on Studio One when recording, and you finally got it. Well, that's very cool, actually. Getting the Fat Channel to print into Studio One. Excellent. Yes, I have not fully discovered all of the wonderful joys and aspects of my Series 316. But from just kind of like the short time I've had this, I've only had this since like this time in November, so I've only had this for 2 months, and the time I've had it, well, is what it can do already blows me away, and I'm sure I haven't got to the bottom of half of it. You know, including some of the routing and how you can route things out from the console into Studio One to print tracks, and you know, to be able to mix through the console into Studio One. Martin asks, just curious, as I don't have a Series 3, how come the Fat Channel on PreSonus mixers doesn't work with the Studio One? It does. It actually does. And one of the things you can do currently is you can control the Fat Channel on the console. You can control that from within Studio One at the moment. That's pretty much the extent of kind of interaction between the Series 3 console and Studio One. That's one thing you can actually do at the moment. So you can do it. However, the maybe slightly difficult bit to get your head around is how you route audio out from your console into Studio One, printing the Fat Channel settings that you have on the console onto that track. There's a setting that you need to select in the Fat Channel, the DSP Fat Channel, so that it prints to your track, and it can take a little while before you figure out where that is. But once you got it, it works. It absolutely does work. And Woodbeast is here, and he says, "Hello, JL fans." Thanks, buddy. Good to see you. Martin says, "Don't you have to have a PreSonus interface connection to do that?" Yes. Yes, you do, because the mixer is actually an interface. Nesron says he's from the Caribbean as well. Well, that's awesome. That's fantastic. I love the Caribbean. I love the music. Pretty much all of it, actually. Yeah, I pretty much love everything music that comes out of the West Indies. I've jammed with a lot of West Indian musicians playing all sorts of different styles of music. We've played soca. I've played other calypso music. I've played reggae, various different forms of reggae, and it's just it's beautiful music. It's terrifically fun music as well. So love it. Stephen Greenwood says, Miles, how do you print the Fat Channel in Studio One? Still trying to work that out. I believe there is a setting in the Fat Channel that is on your Studio One. You should have like a Fat Channel at the top of your inserts, I believe. If you have a Series 3 mixer and you have it connected as your interface and all of that, you should have a Fat Channel just kind of like already inserted at the top of your inserts. And there is a setting which you change, which means it prints the settings that you have on the console onto the channel in Studio One. Martin says, I'm still a bit confused though. Everything I've read says the mixer versions of Fat Channel are not the same as the Fat Channel in Studio One. They are the same. I know that because I'm looking at it right now. So they are. They are pretty much the same. You get the same compressors, you get the same analog stuff that you get in the Fat Channel in the Fat Channel XT. But there's a button you have to press that I believe is called apply DSP to input signal or something like that. And I think that's at the top of the mixer somewhere on the insert, I think. And I think that's where it is. And oh, Miles has just confirmed that. Yep, Miles says apply DSP to input signal. That's the one. Let's see. Woodby says, hey guys, press the like button and donate to Johnny for his Chicago trip to see his sister. Yeah, Woodby, so you and I need to have a little talk offline about that. So if we could connect on Skype or something over the next day or two, that'd be very cool. Or we can do Facebook Messenger or something like that. Okay. Paul Lucas is here. Good to see you, Paul. He says, hey, Johnny. Kingston says, I am engineering a session in Handsworth, Birmingham in April if they meet my salary. Well, that'd be very cool. That'd be awesome, mate. I hope that works out, actually. That'd be great. Paul says, hope the wife is okay. Yeah, she's fine, man. Woodby says, oh man, am I in trouble? No, you're not in trouble, mate. We just might have to slightly rejig things a little bit. So yeah, there have been maybe one or two slight variations to the plan that we need to talk about. So you are not in trouble. Woodby says no audio. Really? Let me just check. Maybe one or two slight variations to the plan. Okay, I've got audio coming through YouTube. So you may need to refresh your stream there, Woodby. John says, Martin, the Fat Channel in Series 3 is the same as in Studio One 3.5. There is a selection even in the 192 that allows you to print rather than just use an insert. If you do, you are committing to the recording. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Yeah, Paul, my wife is fine. It was a very, very, very small little bang she had in the car. Not a major issue. She was more kind of annoyed at the fact that it's going to cost us money to get it all sorted. Whoopi says, if I caused you problems, I truly apologize. No, mate, you have not caused me any problems, okay? So you have nothing to apologize for. Okay? So stop smacking yourself around the face. It's not you, okay? It's circumstance. And I don't want to talk about it online here, okay? I want to talk about it in person with you. If you're okay with that. John says, 2 questions. Can you set up a super chat to make life easy? That's the first question. You have to have 1,000 subscribers, which I don't quite yet. I have 890 at the moment. Once you get over 1,000 subscribers, you get access to the super chat. Second, funny because it relates to Miles. What is the chain from interface to Studio One? Post fader, then can you only use portions, i.e. expanded? No, you can use the entire Fat Channel. You can use the EQ, the compressor, the gate, the limiter, the whole works. The whole Fat Channel is the same Fat Channel on the Series 3 as it is in Studio One 3.5. Exactly the same. It just behaves differently. There is the DSP Fat Channel, which works through the Studio Live console, and then there is the Fat Channel, which is native in Studio One. So it's a behavior thing. It's not kind of like, it's not anything to do with you can only use a bit of it or anything like that. No, you can use the whole thing. They are the same one and the same Fat Channel XT. The reason why the Fat Channel XT exists, well, in fact, go back historically, the reason why there is a Fat Channel plugin in Studio One, even going back to version 2 of Studio One, is because of the Studio Live consoles. The Studio Live consoles had something called Fat Channel that had EQ, compression, gate, and limiting just on board on their mixers, and they decided to make a plugin version of that available in Studio One. Not that one could, not that there was at that time any thought of door control or anything like that for the legacy Studio Live consoles. It was more the fact that hey, if the Studio Live users have got this kind of this kind of Fat Channel availability natively on their console, then we should make a plugin version. So they did. And then that was updated for Studio One 3.5, the Fat Channel XT. And of course, that was all about forward thinking to the future for when a certain thing that we've all been hoping and waiting for, a certain development between the Series 3 console and Studio One would happen. And it would make things just utterly glorious. And we're still waiting for that. Paul says, I have a stupid question about getting the VU meter to show in the channel. I can get other effects to show when I expand, but the VU doesn't. I can show you that. That's dead easy. And you know what? There is no such thing as a stupid question on my live stream. Unless you're going to start asking about, how slugs have babies and that kind of stuff. In which case, that's slightly off topic. But that's okay. I am going to close a few windows in Chrome so that I buy myself back some RAM. And I'm going to minimize that. Put that there. I'm going to open Studio One. And I'm going to show you how you get that VU, that PreSonus VU meter, to work in micro form on the channel, which is, I think, what you're talking about, is the little micro version. And it's actually really quite easy to get to work. So let me just find a... let's just find a song that we can use. There we go. Just open this one up. Alrighty. And let's see. I need to share the screen. That would help. Okay. Alrighty. I have my laptop is fixed now, so I should be monitoring the chat off of my laptop, and I forgot to set it up. So sorry about that. But you guys now should be able to see in a second, hopefully, providing my stream has not completely frozen. I don't know. Has my stream frozen, folks? I'm not entirely sure. I think it might have. Hang on. Has it frozen? No, it hasn't. I don't think. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Oh, Kelly says it's frozen. Okay. Could you do me a favor, folks, and refresh your streams for me and see if it's still frozen? And if it's still frozen, we'll go from there. Oh, Woodbeast, your efforts have not created issues, okay? Like I said, I'm not going to talk about it on the stream, okay? But don't worry. Nothing to worry about. Okay, Paul says it looks good. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take that as good as it can be. All right, so we are looking at my song Chanel. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the VU meter somewhere. Where can we put it? I know, we'll put it on the mix bus. So we'll go to PreSonus and we'll go all the way down to the letter V. TUV, VU meter. There we go, VU meter. Wink. Let's put that there. Now, it opens up like this, but if you want the micro version, you click the little arrow there and you hit expand. And there, it pops open like that. So when you play the song, no matter where you go, we'll walk hand in hand. And you can see it popping along there. And I can go and edit this, and I can set this up to 0 actually, because I don't need it to do anything else. And you can see it's kind of like bopping along at least a little bit. I don't know why it's not bopping along properly. Let's. All right, so you can see it doing its thing over there. But let's say we want to put this on the lead vocal. Well, that's easy enough. We just move it across over to the lead vocal. That always opens up, and then you just hit expand, and there it is. And I'm staring at my phone. Don't let me plan. And then if you're not, if you want to set it up so that it's calibrated correctly for, how you've gain staged it. So I gain staged them to 12, so we can set it up like that. And I'm staring at my phone. Okay, so it does work. You just got to know what you're doing, I guess. You just got to make sure you hit that little expand thing on the drop down, and it should work. Alrighty, so John says I'm seeing movement. Good. All working. Mike is here. Good to see you, Mike. Let's see, what have I missed? Have I missed anything? Okay. And Bobby Booth is here. Good to see you, mate. Hello, welcome. Kingston says, I was told the England session will use an API with 40 inputs and 48 at the mix, along with 8 Neve 1073s and 2 Neve 2254s. So I've been brushing up here on OSU on the API. Going to be a fun 2 weeks. Oh my goodness. You are not kidding, my friend. API desks are epic. I love the sound of an API. Which is funny because I don't have any API emulation plugins. But I love the sound, and I love the sound of 1073s. Oh my word, they are beautiful. Now, those I do have because I have the Slate Everything bundle, and you get the Neve 1073s. Excuse me, I've got a very itchy eye. There we go. You do get the Neve 1073 in the Everything bundle in the VMR, the Virtual Mix Rack. Okay, Martin says, on my system, all I have to do is click it one more extra time when opening up the view. Yes, that is another way to do it. You can use the little drop down and click expand, or you can just double click it. It's fine. I'm going to sneeze in a moment, but I'm going to try and hold back until that moment. Oh, dear goodness. So we got 15 people in the room, and we are 26 minutes into the show. I'm going to keep Studio One open, so if anyone else has any other questions, Studio One related, we can do it. Bobby says, IK Multimedia has an API imitation plugin. Yes, they certainly do. IK Multimedia do make some really, really cool plugins. I know that Universal Audio also have them. I'm trying to think who else does an API. Plugin Alliance, I think, does one as well. Waves, I think, do one. Worth checking those out if you have the funds to do it. Which at the moment I don't. I am now back to plugin fasting. See, before I got the Slate and some Waves plugins, I was on a prolonged plugin fast. I've talked about this quite a bit. I was challenged in 2003. Could I mix for a whole year without using third-party plugins? And I was just like, maybe. Let's try it. So I did. And I got to the end of the year, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep doing this. So I had I think it was the Was it the gold bundle at the time? 2003 Waves 2000 Waves gold bundle 2003. But I had that and I got rid of it because I was just like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly. So I got rid of it. I got rid of all of my Waves plugins. I got rid of a few others that I had. So I was just using, at the time, I was still very much a Cubase evangelist. And so I was just using native Cubase plugins. And I did that from 2003 until 2016. Yeah, 2016. And that's when I got some Waves plugins. I got the SSL E channel and G channels when they were super cheap. I got those. And that was really the start of me breaking my fast. And then my good buddy Dave Vignola bought me the Everything Bundle subscription for a year for my birthday, which is extremely generous and kind of him. And I absolutely love it. And I'm really, again, with them, I think I'm only really scratching the surface with those because boy, it's got some amazing plugins in the virtual mix rack. It does use up quite a bit of your RAM and CPU processing power though. So if you've only got like 8 gigs of RAM like I have, then you have to use the Slate stuff with a lot of care. Paul says, thanks for doing that, Johnny. I just realized I was trying to expand the Waves view. There you go. It might be something as simple as that, because I don't think the Waves VU has a micro view, unfortunately. Be great if it did, but I don't think it does. John says, for the arranger track function to work properly, does the tempo need to match the actual tempo of the song? We had recorded some new material, but left the tempo to the default of 120. I don't think so. I think all you need to do is draw. If we go back to Studio One, let me just share the screen again, and hopefully this will not freeze the stream again. Actually, I'm not using a Ranger. Oh yes, I am using a Ranger track. What am I talking about? So really, to do a Ranger track, all you need to do is just draw a section. I don't think it matters too much whether it's to the grid or to the tempo. You would have to, if you're not technically using the tempo of the song as the tempo of your song, for want of a better way of putting it, I don't think it matters too much. Because all you're doing really is just drawing. Like if we went to, let's go to a new song. Let's go to the song, the start page rather. If I went to a new song, if I just create an empty song, and then if I just open the arranger track, essentially all you're doing really is, you're just drawing in your sections. So, I mean, at the moment it's snapping it all to the grid because I've got snap to grid on. But I suppose if I took that off, then as you can see, it it doesn't really matter. I'm doing this freehand. I've turned the snap off. So basically, if your intro is according to your song, when you draw the arranger track block around it is like 2.5 bars. It wouldn't be, but if that's how long your intro is, then that's how long your intro is, and it doesn't really matter what this says. In fact, here's what I would do. If you're not using the click track and you're not using the actual tempo of your session to dictate the tempo of your song, what I would do is I'd come up here, I'd right click, I go to time base, and I change this to seconds. Okay, and then by doing that, what you're going to be doing, you're not going to be able to see this because this damn thing is in the way. And then, you can change this as well. Because, I mean, if you're not using this tempo as the guide for your song, then all of these bars thing are going to be completely irrelevant. So you may as well, I always do this. You just click on the word bars and just change it to seconds. And so now everything is in seconds and minutes and seconds. So you can set these freehand as required for your song. So I hope that helps. And we are going to close that. And I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to go stop sharing. And I'm going to go back to here. There we go. And we're back. So I hope that helps answer your question there, John. Kelly says, where can I go to learn about the many acronyms such as VPI, API, etc.? You can, to be honest, the best place is to Google them. API in this case is a console. Kingston says, Waves has the API 550 on sale for $29 US. Ooh, now that is cool. Yes, the API 550 is just, yes. Just Bob is here. Hello, mate. He says, stopped in to hit the like button. We'll watch the replay when you get home. Great. Thank you very much, mate. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you find this helpful. And you know what? If what we talk about here sparks any questions for you, Bob, just drop me an email and I'll see if I can answer those for you. Martin says, the least problematic way to work the arranger track is to insert markers first where you want, then clicking marker to set arrange track to markers, then everything should line up the way you wish. Yes, you can do it that way. Doesn't really matter. You know, there are a couple of ways to do it. Setting up markers is definitely one way to do it, and then you just create the arranger track out of the markers. That is a legitimate way to do it. Kingston says that includes the A and the B revisions. Oh, lovely. Awesome. Yeah, the API 550 is worth getting your hands on if you have the spare $29. Kingston, Martin asks, would that API work on my limited machine? 4 gigs RAM, 3 available. You might. Yeah, we can't make any guarantees, Martin. 4 gigs of RAM is, my opinion, only barely enough to run just the core elements of Studio One, to be honest. You would struggle. Your RAM would have a battle with you, I would think. So I'm real sorry about that. It needs minimum 6, Kingston says. Yeah, somewhere between 6, 8, and 12 gigs of RAM would be ideal. And Martin says that that's not a necessity. That's okay. It's always good to ask those kind of questions so that, you know, if you can get your hands on an extra stick of RAM for your computer, Martin, then I would suggest you go and do it, because 4 is, yeah, it's kind of it's a bit of a considerable limitation, I would suggest. So we got 18 people in the room, which is really good. Thank you everybody for coming. And we are 33 minutes into the show, and it is 36 minutes past midnight here in Scotland. And for those of you that are into meteorology and weather and that kind of stuff, it is absolutely peddling it down with rain outside. The rain is actually so loud, I'm surprised you can't hear it in the mic, but there we go. So it's raining so hard that it's a little bit like driving the studio through a car wash. So yeah, I am surprised that you're not able to hear it in the mic. Okay, tea break. Yeah, Martin says it's a shame to miss the deal. Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. I can't afford it either, mate. Not at the moment. Not with things that are kind of going on at the moment. Kelly says it's cold in Texas. Really? Wow. You know, it's funny. I can't imagine Texas being cold, but I guess I guess in the winter Texas must get cold, because from what I remember learning about Texas, it can be pretty hot in the summertime. Paul says, I remember the days when 4 gigs was a lot, but I go with 8 to 16 in the machine these days. Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, my studio machine in 2003 running Cubase. I think I only had 4 gigs of RAM then as well, and that was considered massive. And now it's just, it's laughable. You can just about run the bare basics of a DAW now on 4 gigs. But it just goes to show actually just how impressive DAWs are now. Martin says all deserts are like that, extremely hot in the daytime and horribly cold at night. Yeah, definitely. Friend of mine is a rally driver, and he does the Sahara Rally, and he says he can be, because you cross the Sahara, and he says it can be like, over 110, 115 degrees Fahrenheit at the high noon in the desert at night, in the daytime, and then at night at midnight it can be, close to freezing. And that's a massive temperature drop. MJN says my last computer only had 4 gigs. Yeah, it's funny. It's only maybe the last few years where it's changed. And RAM demands are just that much higher. Miles says, I remember running CAD on a computer with a 20 meg hard drive. Yeah. I remember. If we really want to go back, my very first forays into digital recording was with an Atari ST, the Eagle version of the Atari ST, and I had this plug-in thing for that was like a MIDI converter, and I had Steinberg's Pro 24, which ran on that computer, monochrome screen, and all the sounds came via my Roland D20 I had at the time, and then I had a Roland D50 as well. So those 2 keyboards I had daisy chained via MIDI through into the Atari ST, and that's how I did my first couple of EPs. Actually, my first couple of EPs were done using the very first version of so I used Pro 24 a little bit, and then when Cubase, the very first version of Cubase came out, I got that and used that on my Atari ST, and my first couple of EPs were done using that. And the way I did it was kind of like a hybrid thing. So I had an 8-track reel-to-reel tape machine, and I did a lot of the backing tracks on the D20 and the D50, and I had a Yamaha external little tone generator thing. It was like a little MIDI tone generator. So I used those 3, and I did all of the backing tracks on Cubase on the Atari ST, and then we printed those, we balanced those out, we got a nice little sort of rhythm section mix. And then we balanced those out. We printed those out, I should say, to 2-track on the 8-track reel-to-reel. And then I had live musicians overdub on tracks 3 to 8. And then we did various bits of bouncing. And my good friend Vatcha over at Recording Studio 9 is here. Good to see you, mate. I know this is a funny time of the day for you. This would be your tea break, I would think, or something like that. But good to see you. Thanks for coming. Martin says Commodore 64. Does that sound right? No, I was not using a Commodore 64. I was using an Atari ST. He says his friend Evans Colas used to tell me stories of using Commodore for his first journey into digital recording. Yeah, you could. There was software out for the Commodore at that time. MGN Studios says, I had an Apple IIe in the 1980s. You know what? I had a friend who had one of those, and I totally and utterly admired that computer. And I longed for the day when, there was a platform similar that was a little bit cheaper. So that I could continue to pursue wholeheartedly going into digital recording, which is what I really wanted to do because, well, tape machines are an absolute pain in the butt to maintain. And then tape itself is ridiculously expensive. So I would have liked to have been able to go utterly in the box at that time, but couldn't. Martin says, I actually found one of those original Mac computers in the dumpster one day. The little keyboard with the attached small monitor. If I'd known how to install the software, I'd have jumped on it. Yeah. You see, it's funny. You see those in antique shops now. It really is like the film Back to the Future. You know, where's the scene where Marty is in 2015, I think it is, and he goes past that 80s store, and it's just like there's an Apple machine in the window, and she's like, oh, look at this antique computer. It's hilarious. And the fact is that that was in 1985 that they made that movie, and correctly predicting that these would be computers that are considered antique in 2015, and they certainly are now here in 2018. So, and Mike says that he was 12 when he got it. Yeah, I first started got. What's wrong with my speech today? I first started getting into recording for myself. I would have been about 10, I think. So it would have been about 1985, I think. When I got my first tape machine, and that was me away. You know, a little 4-track tape machine, and then I got the 8-track reel to reel because I just loved the look of a reel to reel. I got that when I was about 15 or something, and we had that actually in my college studio when I was at college, when I was like 16, 17 or so. We had that there, and at the time my college didn't have a studio, so I built one. You know, that's how voracious I was about recording. You know, had to do it, had to be involved in it, and I thought, wouldn't it be good for the college if they actually had a studio? So I built one. The college very stupidly gave me a budget for it. So I bought a Korg M1. What else did I get? I got a mixer, an Allen and Heath mixer, and I got some Yamaha NS8, I think. Were they NS10s? I can't remember. Monitors for the studio. And we had this 8-track reel to reel, and we had an Atari ST, and we had first version of Cubase. And yeah, and that was the start of my major recording journey. When I was probably about 16, 17, that I got into recording. That was the time that I got into recording other people, and you know, everybody had to submit composition work for college. So I was just like, yeah, I'll build a studio in the college, and it'll just make it a lot easier for everybody to record their work. And then I would mix it all. So that's what I did, and I taught myself to mix that way. And so, you know, just like panning, faders, static mix, that kind of thing, a little bit of EQ. That's all I did. We didn't really deal with compression at that point because we didn't have an outboard compressor. Far too expensive. Paul says, wow, that's amazing, building a studio at such a young age. It was kind of like this studio, but in one of the rooms in the music department. We basically we used up one of the practice rooms and converted that into a studio control room. Voucher says, due to bad weather here, I have interrupting internet connection. Well, it will be a combination probably of your weather and my crappy internet connection. So I'm really sorry about that, Voucher. There's not a lot I can do about it. My internet sucks. And one day, Lord willing, I will find some mystery way to improve that. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm going to make a way to do it somehow so that actually I can do something that's a little bit more high quality. So if you are happy with, you know, slightly low quality audio, slightly low quality picture, and that's okay. If you're okay with that, then that's okay with me. Stick around. And as I say, hopefully I'll be able to improve it. Vachit then goes on to say, I had a Yamaha MT3X 4-track DBX machine. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, what was my 8-track? My 8-track was a Fostex. Paul asks, how are you getting on with the new studio layout? I love it. I really do. You guys can't really see what's new and what's not, so maybe I should show you. Hang on a sec. Oh, I think I've turned the heating up too high as well. It's getting awful hot in here. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. Hello. There you go. You get to see my fat, chubby chin. I don't know how well this is going to work, but I'm going to try. There's the Studio Live. Series 3. And there's my fader port. And there's my Rode NT1A. And coming over here, hey, let's get that out of the way. There's the Monitor Station version 2. This is, I could not do these streams, and I could not do, hang on, I need to move the mic closer, don't I? I could not do these live streams, and I couldn't do my video content for YouTube without this guy, because this guy is where all the audio routing is done. So my main interface at the moment is this guy here. This is the audio box USB. My outputs are going out of the back of there. There you go. Here it comes. I'm spilling all the beans about how I do my videos now. So the outputs are coming out of here, and then they're going into, wait, hang on a second. Straighten out. Then they're going into here, into the back of the monitor station. And then I have this pair of cables here. So this pair of cables here is the output from the audio box. This pair of cables is going from the monitor station to my speakers. These guys, the RC5s. And then this set of cables here is going into this guy. If I move that out of the way, this guy here. This is the Alesis IO2. And all the sound that you are hearing right now is going through that guy. And that is how I do my videos. So basically all my Studio One audio and this microphone comes out of the audio box, goes into the monitor station, and then is summed out of these two cables here. Hang on, straighten up the camera. Out these two cables here, and goes into here. And this live stream feed is listening to this interface, and when I do my videos, my screen capture software is also listening to this device, and that's how it works. So nothing really magic. Let's see if I can get my camera back up here now, and oh look, there's the ceiling. Enjoy the ceiling for a minute. I'm now going to try and get this back at the right angle. Let's see. All right, there we go. That's all right. Paul says, really nice. I can only dream of getting a Studio Live. Well, you know what? It's a total dream for me as well. Let's move this just ahead this way. There we go. I'm a bit more centered in the shot now. So yeah, so this is totally there's no way I could have ever imagined having an actual hands-on mixer that I could afford in my studio. But it's very cool that I have it, and I'm very, very blessed to have it. And I'm very, very happy to have it, and it's made a huge difference to my workflow. It's great. I love it. I love mixing through it. I love having my hands on faders, because that's where I started out. When I was at university in the 1990s, I did an audio. My degree was a joint degree. It was a jazz music degree with audio technology, and so I learned on an SSL console. That's where I learned how to do EQ, compression, and everything else, and balancing faders and panning and all that kind of stuff. I learned all of that, and how to route in other EQs and compressors via sends on the console, that kind of stuff. I learned all of that on an SSL. And then, due to financial constraints, obviously there's no way I could afford an SSL, so you have to go in the box. But I've always hankered after having my own mixer that I can mix either through or have like direct control of a DAW. So at the moment I mix through into Studio One. But hopefully in the very, very foreseeable future, I'm sure that DAW control for the Studio Live will be available and I will be able to have direct control, which would be fantastic. Let's see. It's Recording Studio 9 says, I can't even open some pages for work, so not your end. I'm really sorry about that, mate. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Atmospherics can play havoc with internet, that's for sure. Miles says, I need to know how to set up Skype using the audio from Studio Live Series 3 mixer. You have to... I don't do it that way, actually. But I would imagine you just treat the Studio Live as an interface and select it as your microphone in Studio One in Skype. And then you'd need to have your outputs connected, your speaker outputs connected to your Studio Live. Vatcher also says, I was planning on a Studio Live Series 3, but opted with Behringer UFX 1604. Yeah, I saw that. I saw your new mixer. It looks very cool. SL16 Series 3 later this year, maybe. Well, you know what? I think, given what we all know is coming eventually, at some point, I think that would be a very smart investment. John says, hey, secret news on PreSonus rollout at NAMM 2018. I cannot answer that question because I would be in direct violation of my non-disclosure agreement with PreSonus. So unfortunately, I cannot divulge. But good try, good effort. MJN says there's an SSL console for $90,000 on Reverb right now. Oh, fantastic. Just small change then. Paul says, don't know if I thanked you for encouraging me to switch to Studio One months ago. Well, Paul, you know what, mate? I'm very glad you have, and I'm very glad I was able to help you with that. That's very cool to hear. And you know what? It just makes what I'm doing utterly, totally worthwhile. Knowing that something I do has helped somebody. That's cool. I love that. Martin says, I become so used to using in the box that if I ever get another real mixing console, it would be like going back to square one. Well, you know, I kind of thought that as well, because I like you, I'd become so used to working in the box that I thought, am I ever going to be able to do it? But you know what? It's like riding a bike. It really is. It really is like riding a bike. You know, it's a workflow that you know, especially if you trained on that workflow, it's a workflow that just comes back to you. Deer Creek Audio is here. Good to see you, my friend. And he says the big Monster Studio desks are good for people doing monster-sized sessions. New gear nowadays is excellent, in my opinion. If music suffers for a lack of SSL, write and perform better. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Martin says, I can't imagine now using anything but Studio One. The more I use it, the more natural it feels. Yeah, I couldn't agree more as well there. I used Cubase for more than 25 years, and I was a hardcore Steinberg products evangelist. You know, I promoted their stuff very heavily, and I promoted Cubase. I worked tirelessly promoting Cubase. And you know what? My story, and I think I've told it several times, but my story is that PreSonus pretty much literally changed my life. They certainly changed the direction that my business was going in. And now I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking to you guys because of PreSonus. And I make tutorial products because of PreSonus. Because of, you know, what they have done for me and what they've made possible, and I never thought would be possible. So my way of repaying them is by promoting their products, promoting Studio One, promoting their hardware products and some of their other software products that they have as well, and promoting their company ethos, which I actually think is a lot better than Cubase. It's a lot better than Steinberg, by a long shot. And so I help them out by doing moderation of their forum and that kind of stuff. And I do a little bit of beta testing for some of their stuff as well. So that's my way of paying them back, really. John says, I was thinking of upgrading my RM32, but decided to wait and see what is coming. Everything new is coming so quickly. You're not kidding. I think last year Presonus launched something like 17 new products, which is extraordinary. When you think about that, that's just ridiculous productivity. MJN says, Studio One made writing and recording my new song so easy. Like Martin said, it's just natural. Yeah, you're not kidding. And by the way, for those of you that have not seen a little snippet of what Mike has done, he posted it up earlier in the day, I believe. And you know what? It's really good. The guy has lots of talent, and that talent should definitely be encouraged. Absolutely. Batcher says, one major reason is Studio Live 16 does not have hardware inserts, as I do have and like to use hardware gear. The UFX 1604 supports on all 8 mic channels. Yeah, good point. Good point. Martin says, while cleaning and throwing out old stuff and moving, found my old Sonar / Roland 1880 software and all the cables I used. And pictures my old XP60 setup. Nice. Paul says that IR Maker in Studio One is so cool. You know what? I haven't actually used it yet. But yes, impulse responses are epic. What a brilliant, genius piece of technology. Absolutely. Being able to capture the sound of an environment, and then, your audio goes through that virtually. Amazing. Mike says, thank you. You're very welcome, my friend. I've been very impressed with your work. And so keep going with it, and keep challenging yourself. Keep stretching yourself to, to do new things. Deer Creek Audio says, in the States, you can buy monster recording desks cheap, like MCI, but they're not worth the moving bill. You're not kidding. John Anderson says, till we hit the 1,000, used PayPal. Oh, mate, thank you so much. And he says, thank you for your help. You're very welcome, John. You're absolutely very welcome. And so is everybody else. Everybody who is watching here, anybody who I have helped with answering questions or doing demonstrations for them, or, if you've purchased my MIDI Drums Made Easy products and you found them helpful, you know what? I'm really, really glad that they've helped you. Absolutely. Really, really, really happy that I've been able to help you. Speaking of products, we're past 1 a.m. now, but I'm going to wrap the show up just by basically saying that I have a couple of new products that are coming out actually this year. One is a songwriting product, which is going to be very, very cool. It's going to take you from a blank page to a digital release, all in one product, going through how I write and how I record, mix, master, produce a song, all the way through from blank page to finished master, releasing it to the world. And hopefully you guys will learn something from that. At the very least, you'll learn something about my process and how I do things, and maybe you'll find some of that beneficial for you. Yeah, hopefully it'll help you with your production work, whatever phase you work in, whether that's songwriting, whether that's recording or mixing or mastering, or the digital distribution, whatever your particular niche is. Hopefully there'll be something in that product for everybody. And I'm going to be collaborating with my good friend David Vignola over at Home Recording Made Easy on that one. So that's going to be very, very cool. And later in the year, we're probably going to be doing a mastering product of some kind, which we've not really fully decided on. And then for Jonny Lipsham Studios, at the end of this month, the end of January 2018, I will be launching my VIP subscription membership, which is very cool. I have my good friend Rich Westfall, who is one of the moderators over at the HST Studio One support group. He is helping me develop that part of my website. My website is now hosted with a new hosting company, which is very cool. So towards the end of this month, I'll be launching actually something before the VIP subscription scheme goes live. Before that, I will be also launching an email list that you can join. And when you join that, you will get a bunch of compression videos in a zip file, which you can watch and hopefully gain something from. And basically, that'll be my way to be able to communicate with you on a weekly basis outside of this live stream, because this live stream is very cool. I really enjoy doing these. And I have an average viewership of about 18, 19, maybe 20. So it'd be very cool if I could expand that out to quite a lot more of my YouTube subscribers, because at the moment I have about 819. It'd be really great if I could get as many of those, as many of you who do come to my live streams to subscribe to my email list, and that way you'll get a whole bunch of other content that is not going to go up on my website, that is not going to go up on YouTube. It will be just email form. It will be thoughts that I have had, regular thoughts over the week about various aspects of recording, mixing, mastering, songwriting, arranging, those kind of things. Whatever, things that are going to be beneficial and helpful to you guys, and you can sign up for that. Plus, you'll also get advance notice of any new services and any new products that I launch before they go live. So if you join my email list, which will be starting in a couple of weeks, then you'll get all of that access to that. And then if you become a VIP subscriber, you get discounts on all my products and services. You also get exclusive content that will never see the light of day anywhere else other than to my VIP group, my VIP people. And you will also get a mix critique as part of the bundle as well. I'm going to go into much more detail about all of that as we get closer to launch time. I'm going to actually do a live stream where we talk in a lot more detail about what is going to go, what you're going to get as a VIP. And then hopefully it will be a good fit for you guys, and hopefully you'll be happy to sign up. And it will be, to be a VIP, it will cost you £12 per month, and proceeds of the VIP membership will be going straight back into jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk and developing new products and new services, and being able to do more and better live streams with better bandwidth, that kind of stuff. And just being able to make better products that you guys can get your hands on, that are going to help you get better at music making. So there we go. I hope that's all helpful for you. I'll take a couple more questions before we wrap this up. Martin says, a while back you said you used the Encore notation software. Never got back to me on how to work with it. When you have time, can you PM me? Can't afford Notion from Presonus. No, I never used Encore. I used to use Sibelius for a long time. It's clunky. And it got worse when Avid bought it. I'm sorry to say. And it is prohibitively expensive. It really is. Notion is a fraction of the price, and you get notation software that is darn well as good. If you are a registered user of Studio One Professional, you can get, I believe you still can get a discount on Notion 6 because you are a Studio One Professional user. I think the last time I looked, it was $60, I think. But as I say, that might not be available. But you know, before you take my word for it, go check it out on the Persona shop, please. MJN Studios says MuseScore is free. Absolutely, I have used it, and it is really good. For a free notation software, it is really good. When I was a high school teacher, which I was for 2 years, nearly a decade ago, I used MuseScore because at the time, with the version of Sibelius that was available 10 years ago, you couldn't take a snippet of notation that you'd made in Sibelius and copy paste it into a Word document. So when I was making classroom resources and that kind of thing for my pupils, I needed to be able to do that, and of course Sibelius couldn't do it. So I got MuseScore, and MuseScore does it dead easy. Martin says, just can't do the money right now. I need other things more as well. MuseScore is free, Martin. It will cost you zilch, zero, nada, niet, nunca, nothing. Miles says, we'd like to see a demo of Notion. You know what? I could probably do that on another show because I have Notion. I haven't used it very much, I will admit, but the person who is, for me personally, who I think is a Notion expert would be my good friend Derek Jones. He is extremely good with Notion. MJN says, it's really good. My theory teacher uses it, and you also have Notion 6. Yes. Dear Creek says, any idea where to get free MIDI orchestral files, cinematic and classical style? I don't, I'm afraid. However, one thing I will say is that free orchestral libraries, yeah, not so good. You'll not, if you're wanting to write orchestral and cinematic style music, you'll find free orchestral samples very, very restricting and frustrating and limiting. I'm afraid. You just really will, because you will not get the articulations. And that's the biggest thing that you need if you're writing orchestral works. You need a sample library that gives you a huge range of articulations. Dear Creek says, MIDI files to use with Persona's symphonic orchestra. There are some. What do you mean by MIDI files? Do you mean demo songs, that kind of stuff? Because there are. If you got the Persona Symphonic Orchestra package, you will find, I can show you again, actually, probably real briefly. Let's go and show that screen. Share that screen, I should say. You go back to Studio One. If I go to the start page, oh gosh, I've not done it for a while. I have to go through and scroll down and see if I can find it. Oh dear, this is, I know what this one is. Okay, so if we go to instruments, not instruments. I'm trying to remember where it is. Is it in loops? Just close that, close that. Close that as well. If you go into, if you have the PSO, which I have here, my keyboard's not on now, so I can't actually play it for you. But you know, if you've got the PSO, which comes as a package that gets loaded into Presence XT, when you go to loops, go down to the bottom where you see construction kits, and you'll see PSO music loops. You click that, and it opens up, and you've got all of these. So if I was just to pick, let's say, Big Band Breakfast, for example, if I click that folder there, you get all of these different parts. Now, these different parts have all of the music loop stems, which are basically the instruments within the PSO that we use to create this, and it just populates. You just basically select all, drag them in, and it opens up all of the Presence XTs that you need with those specific sounds loaded up for each of these parts. So you have part A, part B, part C, part D, but they've also done a mix as well. So you can play each one like this. And so on and so forth. So hopefully that answers that little question for you. Yes, I've gone through the PSO stuff. Pretty corny game show TV stuff. Maybe they are a little bit, but have we frozen, by the way? I hope we haven't. Might have done. Hope we haven't. MGN says, have you looked at East West Composer Cloud? Ah, damn it. We've frozen. Okay, Greg says it's not frozen. Well, my live stream monitoring has definitely frozen. So I hope we're all good. What has he said? Deer Creek says, yes, I've gone through the PSO stuff. Pretty corny game show TV stuff. There may be a little bit, but you can actually add to them. Like I think in this one here, I've even added some a drum loop to it. I'm not even sure what's on this. Oh, hello. Oh, those are all grayed out. Why are those grayed out? Oh, they're all muted. Why is that? I don't know. And all of that audio's gone. Okay, I'm not really sure what's going on here, but yeah, you can add. Let's just do a close on that. No. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find. Where is it? Yeah, they are. I'll agree they are a little bit on the corny side. I'm not gonna lie. But you can play about with them. You can if you think outside the box a little bit, you can be a little bit creative with them. Where there is. Okay. Hopefully this has got audio in it. I mean, I ended up rendering all of these down, but I used hang on. You're not going to, because it's all frozen, I don't think you're going to be able to see it all. Martin says, your lips are moving and we can hear what you're saying. Right, okay. Thank you. Dear Creek says, I've taken the PSO stuff and changed the harmonies, but some give it a good base to start from. Yes, definitely. That's what I recommend you do. And to be honest, I think that's what they're there for. And the PSO sounds are great for the price. That's absolutely true. I mean, it's not going to compete necessarily with East West or the Vienna or any of the other big name orchestral sample libraries, because they are, they're a lot more expensive. But at that particular price point, the PSO is a no-brainer. And you know, if you are able to think a little bit creatively, you can do all sorts of wickedly creative things with the sounds. I was going to show you, and I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to try. I think when I'm sharing the screen, that's where it's maybe going a little bit funky. So I'm going to try. So I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this, but this is my session for Softly Spoken, which, as you can see, I've done transform to audio on a lot of these. And then the rest, certainly the actual stuff that was from the PSO, I just transformed it to audio, but the rhythm section was played live. So, and you guys probably will have heard this because I released this earlier last year. But if I take the rhythm section out, it's essentially a brass band piece. If I bring the rhythm section back in, it's essentially a brass band piece, and I just used the sounds from the brass section of the PSO orchestra. But if you go and watch my PSO's series, in that series, for each of the intros, when I featured a particular section, I used one of the music loops from that section, and then I just jazzed it up with some a drum loop or something. So I did like a disco strings thing, and I did a funky woodwind thing as well. So there you go. Let's see. Deer Creek says, I heard that song on the Personas forum. Yeah, I posted it up there, just for a giggle, really. Just to see where, you know, who would be interested in it. And a few people were, which is great. MGN says, I usually use the symphonic orchestra, Paul. More used to that one. All right, guys. That's very cool. And MGN says, I got the PSO for $50 at Christmas. For $100 is great. Loops, not so much. Yeah, the loops are not the best. But the cool thing is you can just bring them in and you can use them as a starting point. And you can do something else with them. The thing that they will teach you, a little bit anyway, is that they will teach you a little bit about correct-ish arranging and writing for orchestral instruments. And I think that's basically all those are there for. They're basically there to show what can be done with different aspects of the PSO and how you can use some of the articulations in creative ways. I think that's all they're there for, really. They're not meant to be, you know, musically top-notch or anything. So, and on that note, we are 20 minutes over time, folks. So it is 1:20 in the morning here, and I have an early start because I have to get my kids to school. And then I have, I'm a busy boy tomorrow because I'm starting my this week is the start of my new YouTube series. One is a mixing series where we're going to mix my song Paper Deity from my 2016 EP. So we're going to mix that from scratch. I'm basically going to delete all my plugins, all the mixing that I did for the EP, and we're going to do it from scratch. And hopefully you guys will get to see at least a bit of an insight as to how I mix, what my mixing methodology is, my approach. And I'll try and describe what I'm doing and why as I go. And hopefully it'll be educational. My second series is I'm going to be doing a Studio One from scratch series, which is basically aimed at people that have never used a DAW before in their lives. They have no idea what they're doing. They don't even understand the jargon and the terminology and stuff. So my series is going to basically, I'm not going to make any assumptions about knowledge. I'm not going to make any assumptions that you know anything about how to work a DAW. And I'm not going to assume you know anything about EQ. You're not going to know anything about compression. You're not going to know anything about how to connect your microphone to your interface and get that connected into Studio One. It's going to be so basic, but hopefully it will appeal to people who maybe have spent a lot of years recording in the analog domain and then coming into the digital domain, and they don't know a lot of the terminology and jargon that we use, and they don't know how to convert themselves, I should say, from an analog mindset into a digital mindset, and how to actually work with a DAW. So hopefully that's going to be helpful to somebody, and it's going to be foundational cool stuff, as Paul says. And you know what, that maybe should be the title, foundational cool stuff. Okay guys, so it's going to be a busy week for me, and I'm in the throes of mixing. I should say I'm doing full production on a house record, and it's going well so far, so that's keeping me busy. These new things are keeping me busy. The VIP thing, getting that ready for you guys to launch at the end of the month. We're on schedule so far. I have another meeting this week with Rich, and we're going to go over the actual specifics of what is going to appear on your screen when you log in, and how you log in and all of that. So we're going to talk all about that this week, and hopefully by the end of this month, hopefully by, let's see, look at my calendar. Yeah, hopefully by something like the 28th or so ish, 28th of January ish, we're aiming to be ready to launch the VIP members area of JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk. So that's the plan anyway. All right, folks, my voice is starting to give out, so because I've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, and I only tend to do that when when I'm actually doing lectures. I certainly don't preach that long. I preach for maybe 30 minutes maximum. All right, guys, take care. Have a good week, and I will see you again here probably next Sunday. Same kind of time, same kind of place. I will put an announcement out that it's happening, but in the event that we, for whatever reason, we can't run the live stream, I will also put out another announcement. All right, guys, take care. I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye for now.